All right, it is Lucas back once again from the live wire. This time I've got Rowan Stevenson, the mastermind behind the instrumental four-piece or five-piece now, I think it is, for I Built the Sky. How are you, my friend?
Doing great, man. Nice to chat. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, hell yeah. So we sort of like scheduled this all sort of last minute, back earlier in the week. Right now it's early March, so record doesn't come out for a little bit. You've been gracious enough to give me an album release, to give it a listen, and the album is fucking killer, man. It's so good.
Thank
Um,
you.
for those that don't know what I Built the Sky is, can you sort of talk us through the background of the band, how it got started, and how it's sort of become this beast of an instrumental band that can be considered up there with the likes of, Polyphia and Intervals and stuff like that? I put you guys on that level, if I'm honest, because you guys are just that good.
Damn, dude. Thank you, man. I really, really appreciate that. That's really awesome. So basically, I started this as a bit of a passion project, and just as a way to scratch my creative itch, because I had been previous to this had been in other bands and all that stuff, learning and collaborating with others, which is great and it's awesome and all that. But I sort of at some stage really wanted to take the creative reins and experiment and make weird sounds and mix ambient stuff with metal and stuff that generally doesn't quite work for the typical band setup. So yeah, that's sort of how I started and just released albums myself. I used it as a way to learn about audio recording and mixing and that sort of thing. So yeah, yeah. And then as we went, I decided I wanted to try doing it live, and you know, try to find people that could play this material. And yeah, I started playing live. So my first album went out in 2012, and my first live shows were about 2016. And then in 2019, I was in a place where I thought I would give this a go in a more serious capacity, and I left my job as a teacher to do it. And it's been 6 years, coming on seven, as a full time thing for me. So it's been a real journey.
For sure. Weirdly enough, just because you brought it up, I'm going to bring up Ether because that's the song where the message goes out at the start of the video where you're like, I'm putting, I'm all in and
Yeah.
not living with regret and stuff like that, which I think is an incredible message. And not only that, that song's got like 3.5 million views on it. So if that's the song that's going to kickstart that professional era of the career, so to speak, that's the song to do it. And that's the one that has had the most traction over the last couple of years. So, um, for a fan, being a fan of the band, that's where my entry to your band has come in for me personally.
Yeah.
Um, while I do love the previous records that have come before it, do you feel that that song has paid off in the culmination of what has become now the new record?
Yeah, I think it's a benchmark in so many different things. Like that, just the overall sound of it, and the positivity, like, it's kind of shreddy and riffy and all that stuff, but I think overall it's very positive sounding. And that's definitely what I wanted to capture on this new album. I really wanted to take that and just amplify that to the max. So yeah, a good place to
Yeah.
start for sure.
It does that. There's a song I'm going to talk about later, which I think is a spiritual successor to Ether. So we'll get into that later.
Okay.
You're right. It definitely has, the record has a lot of the vibe that one song has, and I feel the whole record as a whole is a very much a spiritual successor to that song, because truly
Understand.
this album feels like a whole new era for the band, which is dope.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so talking, I guess, a little bit more on instrumental music in particular, right? So I'm a big fan of instrumental music. I listen to prog metal, and I think Octavarium by Dream Theater is too short at 24 minutes. Um, with the kind of blow up over the last 10 years of bands like you guys, Polyphia, Intervals, even local guys like Sleep Makes Waves and Pliny and stuff like that, you kind of sort of caught as it was starting to go up in popularity. So when you sort of then decided this is the moment to go pro with it and make it my career, like did you see the writing on the wall that this was about to blow up?
Nah, I don't think you can ever predict that really. But the writing was on the wall for in my personal circumstances, that like this is what I'm doing and I want to give it a shot at least. and yeah, but it's you can't really. I didn't think like, oh, this whole genre is going to be popular soon, so I might get on this as early as I can. No, definitely not.
Yeah. I mean, I think though that like I think it just happened to fall that way. Because again,
Yeah,
like, I remember like I'm a big like I'm a Dream Theater fan. I love Coheed and Cambria. They're one of my favorite bands. And Polyphia got like really big off the back of Coheed doing a bunch of US tours with them. And out of nowhere I started seeing all of these bands starting to pop up again. You guys were around that time as well for me. And like yeah, just it felt for me as a fan of that type of music, it felt like it came out of nowhere. It was awesome.
awesome.
So now that we're on the doorstep of album four with Promise Me You'll Thrive, that's going to be out later in the month, you have been doing it for 14 years. There's that thing that you say at the beginning of the video for Ether, right? Where it says, I wrote it down here. Sorry, I have to find it. It's in my notes here. It's better to take a chance to follow your dreams than to live in regret. I feel like that's
Absolutely.
such an amazing. I feel like that's such an amazing quote. Um, like, is that something you've lived with since doing all this and going through COVID? Because that also had to have been a challenge in itself. And you know, just kicking off the touring back in 2016, getting 4 years in, and then kind of being like, "Cool, you have to stop for a year and a half." Like, have you looked at any part of this and thought, "This, I don't know if I can make this work"?
Well, I mean, anything you do, like in this sort of scene and stuff, like like the album. I'm spending a lot of money on this album, and you don't know if people are going to care until it's too late. So everything I do is a massive risk, really. I mean, and like tours and stuff like that, there's a lot of expenses involved. Like it's not like I come back with heaps of money from those tours. A lot of the time, you come back, you've lost money or you've broken even. Like in a good scenario, you're broken even, and because like all the expenses fall on me personally, like it's very tricky to navigate, and stressful at times. But I think like for me, it's worked, and I know it can work, so I'm just doing my best to do the best that I can with what I've got. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. It does. And I guess talking on the record, obviously, I think I'm one of the few that have sort of heard the album already. It doesn't come out for 2.5 months yet. Have many people heard it yet? And if they have, sort of what has been the early feedback you've gotten? Because I can give you the feedback. It's got the approval from me straight out the gate. One listen in, and I was in love with the whole thing. And I've listened to it about 10 times since Tuesday when you sent it to me. So, yeah,
Wow.
what's the feedback been?
I mean, I've only really, shared it with my immediate team. Um, so it's very like the amount of the feedback I've got is only within my team, really.
Mm.
Um, I mean, I've heard a lot of feedback from the first two singles, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really my creative output, and I feel like I know what I want to do. I have this artistic mission that really doesn't pay attention to what's going on right now. This is my creative thing, and it comes down to like, do I think it's good? Because that's where I draw the line. Like, if I think it's good, then that's what I'm going to go with. It's hard to tell. You know, I don't know.
For
You
sure.
just I'm just trying my best. I'm doing my own creative thing. I want to put out a positive message. I want my music to feel uplifting and really be a good comfort listen to people and be inspiring to musicians. And that's all I can do is that, and hope that when it drops, people will get on board, and I can do those fun things, go on more tours, get some cool supports and that sort of thing, and just keep this going.
Hell yeah. Well, again, like I said, like this is probably my favorite record out of the bunch that you guys have dropped. So I
Awesome.
think the album is a massive achievement. I think everything sounds tighter than it has in the past. Not to say nothing before has not sounded tight. It's just the production on this is crazy. I want to get into a chat about Forrester later because he
Yeah,
did an amazing job with this record. I mean, the whole team who have worked on this record, they've crushed it. It's just fucking unreal. So I
absolutely.
want to drill down into some specific songs in a little bit, but you mentioned the singles. Right now, at the time of talking, there's two out. I think there's another one going to be coming out before the album drops. I don't know what song it is yet. You haven't mentioned it, but the music video for those two albums is insane. It has some of highest production quality I think you guys have done in a video before. You got pyro. There's the cool little bit with the violin, and you got Rowan, your other Rowan Sharma, playing the piano while it's on fire, and like it's very artistic and just awesome. How did the concept of that album, sorry, of the music video come out, and what led to the decision to dropping two songs at once as part of it play into all of that?
Okay, to answer your second question, I mean, I wrote them together, but I felt like they had two distinctive parts, so I thought it would be an idea to split them up. But I just thought for the video clip, like, let's just do the whole thing, you know, it's the whole thing. You know, I don't see many people doing things like that. It's a fun little concept, and yeah, I thought it worked cool together. I thought that they're two distinct personalities, and yeah, and I like how it just like leads in. I've made it so it's a seamless. You know, if you listen to it on Spotify or iTunes or whatever, it'll be a seamless like transition from one to the next. I've always liked those little things that artists do, you know. And yeah, and the video clip itself, yeah, I just wanted to, every time I do something creatively, how can I top what I've done before, you know? We did the Up Into the Ether, and we had the drones and the cool location and stuff like that. And then I thought, well, what can we do next, you know? And, you know, let's make this epic thing. And I'm connected with a few different really great creative people, like Colin Jeffs, who did the video production. You know, he's absolute world class. So I just reached out to these people and gauged if I could get them, and you know, slowly started building a concept, and yeah, trying to make like visual changes in the video and trying to make it flow nicely and be interesting to the viewer and the listener. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and there was so much cool different effects and things going on. The pyro, a friend of mine, Chris Samos, he does pyro for a living now. So we were able to get pyro going. Yeah, and I just always try to, you know, go big or go home. I'm only here once in a lifetime. I'm just gonna give this my darndest.
For sure, and it's come a long way from the look of the Ether video from 2019. I know I kind of keep coming back to that, but like you said, it was kind of shot on drones, and the camera quality is not kind of super the best. This looks like everything's shot in 4K. You've got the lighting, that giant lighting rig at the back as well. Yeah. Again, yeah, like Rowan as well playing the like was he really playing that with that on fire in front of him?
So it's a bit of a trick, because the piano's not on fire, but the fire comes from behind the piano. So it's being shot out of like a fire dispenser thing, yeah.
So I mean, from what I was looking at, it looks like it was kind of like in the top. Not that the piano was on fire, but obviously at the top of it is what I mean. But like, it looks like there was kind of like a dispenser rod, like on the top that was shooting it out. Like, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
That's still pretty
gnarly. Actually lighting it, you know. So the discussion was, do we actually light this thing up, or do we do something that sort of gives that effect? And yeah, we ended up going with that, but it could have been cool to set the thing up as well. But yeah, gets a bit hairy doing that stuff.
For sure. Like, I'm a fan of wrestling shows, and sometimes when WWE would come out, like, they would have pyro that'd go off at the shows, and I'd be sitting, you know, at the back of the entertainment center, and I'm like, oh, that's hot. Like, I can only imagine being that close to it. He'd be sweating a bit.
Oh, it was hot. It was hot, for sure.
Hell yeah. All right, cool. So, the other thing with the song too, as well, is that it has a very similar message at the start of this song, or this music video, as it did with Ether. Again, I said before, but I feel like that song and then this record feel very much like spiritual successors to each other. Was this sort of like a reset mentally, where you were like, I want to recapture the energy of that song in a whole record?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, a bit of a reset, because I wanted to, with the recording of it, you'll notice I got the boys involved on the recordings as well, which I haven't so much in the past. I've sort of done most of it. But this one, I wanted to harness their skills, get real drums going from my drummer, the bass, and Rowan involved on the keys and things like that. So yeah, I wanted to really hone in and just get the best out of the music. Because I write the songs, I write, I program and sort of dictate how it shapes and different parts like piano parts and stuff like that. But then when I get these guys involved, they can take that and expand on it and make it even all better and more rich and more intricate and do those things that I can't personally do myself. So yeah, bit of a reset for sure.
Yeah, for sure. The energy of a reset is definitely all over it again. Like it just
Yeah,
there's certain vibes that sort of come off it, and yeah, like, again, I know I've already said it, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. This is genuinely the best record in the whole discography, and I think it also benefits from the guys sort of jumping in and going, hey, let's throw this on, or
yeah.
it's way more collaborative effort, which I think has worked out for its benefit.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's the best too. I feel like it's the best. And I've told people, I tell people that like this is the best. And I will bet you money that you will think that's the best as well once you hear it, because I just feel like it's on another level for those reasons, having the guys involved, getting their input into their musicianship and their instruments rather than me playing bass or something like that. Um, yeah, it's really just taken it up a notch, and I feel like it's definitely my best creative work for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I want to come to the title of the record. So again, it's called "Promise Me You'll Thrive." A lot of times when you see a band will have like a song or something, or an album title, it will come from a lyric, and obviously lack of lyrics on this project is means that this has come from somewhere else. I'm curious about the title because I think it's a really inspirational title, and I just want to know where you drove that inspiration from.
Yeah, for sure. So I think basically, during the end of COVID and that sort of thing was when I was, beginning to start thinking about putting an album together. But 2022, end of 22 is when I started writing for this album. But yeah, the title came because over those periods I had a lot of low periods in just super low moods and just feeling just really dark on things. And then, you catch yourself when you're in those stages, like, man, come on, like you gotta snap out of this. And it's like, man, you gotta promise yourself you'll thrive. And that sort of came to me, and I thought that's what this album should really focus on. Something that will try and snap you out of a bad mood. I want it to be positive and fun and just emanate that feeling, and that's what I needed for me. So that's how that title came, and that was really that's what came first. That title, I'm like, I want to make an album based around that phrase. Every song I wrote, I would come back to that title and think, does this harness that energy, thriving and feeling positive and that sort of thing. And I wrote for a month. I actually wrote in a. I went to an Airbnb for a month in a place called Man's Beach. It's this tiny coastal town, and I wrote every day for this album. And I wrote a lot of material, and I scrapped the whole thing because it didn't reflect the title. And yeah, so the title is a huge influence on the sound and the overall feeling I'm trying to project.
For sure, it's more than a title; it's a mindset.
100%. It's
Hell
like this
yeah.
is like my ability to communicate with the world through tech, like the title and the song names and things. That's the only chance I get to really like directly communicate. So that is what I wanted to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that's a big part of the sound too with the band, and something that I love obviously, is that as much as it is about technical fretwork and basically lighting your guitar on fire, there is also the ethereal floaty riffs that kind of float through a lot of the songs, and this record has that in spades. Two songs I want to shout out specifically is the title track. I think the title track is probably one of the best encapsulations of, if you don't know who I Built the Sky are, that's the song to listen to. And it also then floats over to the record name and again the mentality and stuff. But the other one is Cloud Kind. I felt a lot of that sort of bouncing between the really technical stuff and then really just floaty kind of sound, like the ambient stuff. How do you find yourself trying to balance that where like you can go, you can do a whole song and it's just chaos, and then you could do something and it's just pretty, how do you find the
Mhm.
balance?
I just like to do that because I feel like it helps. It helps with the flow of the song and it keeps that interest, Whether, some bands, they're on 11 the whole song, and I like that stuff too. But for my creative output, I want to take people on a journey. I love to take a right hook here and there, and make people go, oh shit, that like, didn't realize it was going to go there. Or I love to do that. I just think that's fun when you're listening and you just don't know where it's going to go, and then it takes you somewhere you really wouldn't expect, So I just love doing that. It's like naturally within me when I create, like I'll create something heavy, and it's like, okay, how can I left turn this, Um, so yeah, for me it comes kind of natural, and I like the way it shapes a song, having different like what's the word, dynamics, a lot of different dynamic things going on. Yeah.
Yeah, killer. Um, Obviously then instrumental music and stuff shares a lot of DNA with progressive rock and progressive metal because of all the time changing and the melodies and stuff like that. And something that obviously though, progressive rock and metal is known for is longer songs. Which is something you kind of haven't really done. Like you've kind of stick anywhere between maybe 2 to maybe 5 minutes. There's a 6 minute song with the Zenith Rise. Obviously, knowing now that the first two songs were technically written together, so that makes it 10.5 minutes almost. The longest song on the record, Bell to Bell, is The Long Game, which is aptly titled. Um, how do you feel that like it was to sort of write longer songs and like did the mentality change at all to try and like don't make it top heavy and how did you sort of like write for longer songs?
Yeah, I think that was a. I don't know if I really specifically was trying to do that, but I find it extremely challenging to write long songs. Like the Zenith Rise was the longest one before that at 6 minutes, and even that is a 1 minute piano outro. So it's kind of 5 minutes with a 1 minute piano outro, And at the time I wrote that, so that was like 2019. That was everything I had. That is literally, I cannot give any more. This is everything I can do for this song, That's how I felt. And I'm surprised. I've surprised myself actually. So the long game is like 8.5 minutes, I think, or
820.
somewhere. Right,
820.
right, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just kept on going, and it felt fun to take it on a different journey, like how it sort of dies down in the middle there, and then it sort of kicks back in and you know has a reimagined sort of sections coming in that sort of are based off the lick at the start. So the lick at the start has a certain technique in a clean type of way, but then when it comes back in, it's in a more heavy sounding thing, but it's still the same sort of technique. So yeah, I don't know consciously what was going on there, but I was following the dragon, so to speak, and that's where it ended up.
Yeah, and that's again, out of all the songs I mentioned, Cloud Climb, that I mentioned the title track being two of my favorites. I love how long that song is, and I love that like it just again, you're right, like it sort of it gets quiet around the middle and sort of like lingers for a minute or so, and then it just comes back hard for that last like 3 minutes, and it's just
Yeah,
it doesn't feel too long, and that's insane to think that that's your longest song.
yeah.
So a big part of the why I love the record too, I mentioned his name earlier, was Forrester Savell. He helped basically work on this album with you guys, and that guy's got a murderer's row of insane records. How much sort of input did he have on the record and throwing ideas at you guys that you might not have thought of before? Like, how involved was he in that?
Yeah, that was his biggest input was probably in the drums because we recorded drums together. Um, yeah, so he was very hands-on in that and getting a great drum sound and just bouncing ideas and all that sort of stuff for the drums with David Parks who did the drums, amazing, amazing drummer. And then with the mixing, he has a lot of power because he decides what is in the forefront, you know, and I like to do what I can, like with the songs, with the structure, with the instrumentation and things like that, and then let him have a go at fitting the pieces together sonically, and he has a big impact on that, obviously. But yeah, that's where he really shapes it in the sonics. Yeah, I mean, especially in the drums. Like the drums sound incredible, but I just love what he does, and I let him go. Here's what I've done. You figure it out. And he'll come back with mixes. One of the songs that was mix one, and that was just like that's perfect. And then sometimes we'd nitpick on things, we'd go back and forth, and he's great at that. He's great at going back and forth with people, and like I'll be like, yeah, I think that that guitar lick should be a little bit louder, and he'll be like, yeah, okay, let's try a little bit louder, or he'll be like, no, I kind of want to try something different on this glitch moment here. Let me try some new things, and I'll be like, hell yeah, you do you, and it's always like, I think one of the most fun moments of this whole thing is hearing a mix back from Forrester and just being floored. Yeah.
Yeah. Not to get too deep onto someone else's work, but the new Carnival record that he did is just that's one of the most perfect albums I've heard the last like 10 years. I think it's incredible. And then he did an amazing job with that. He's done an incredible job with your guys' record too. So you guys got got someone real good to work on that for you. So hell yeah.
He's the best you can get. I can't see anyone better than what Forrester can do. He's a genius in a true sense of the word.
For sure. Going on obviously to the sequel song, I guess, Return from the Ether. I don't want to talk necessarily about like the connection to the original song, but there's a part of that song that I really zened in on, and like I need to know if you guys did it or if it's just really good synths. Do you have a choir on that song?
No, not a physical choir. No.
Okay. So do you know what I'm talking about though?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So what is that?
That's through the synth. So the Rose got this keyboard that has all these different sounds, and you can have like choir emulation kind of sounds. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So that's what that will be.
Yeah, because like I rolled it back a couple of times and I'm like, is this technically the first vocals on an I Built the Sky record? Because like
there's actually my vocals on Journey to Aurora. If you listen to the start of that song on the Zenith Rise album, you'll hear me singing.
I've never picked that up. What the hell?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's sort of meshed in with everything, but it's like me singing, literally.
No way. I've never picked that up. That's crazy. I've listened to that record heaps too. That's wild. Well, yeah, no, but around 250, I was kind of like, I was zoning it back and I was just like, I think he's got a choir on this, because I feel like that sound at that moment in the song sounds incredible. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So I wanted to pick that one up. And then on Lightning in a Bottle, did you sneak a theremin in there as well on that song?
No, that'll be another keyboard effect.
Damn, man.
So
Rowan's a gun at that stuff, because I would have thought like you guys were using like all this other stuff and he's just doing it through his keyboard. That's insane.
Yeah, he's got some really expressive keyboard that can control bending and things like that, like in your right hand. So on the actual keys itself, it can bend pitch. Where you typically you've got that wheel, that pitch bend wheel. But there's some keyboards out that a lot of keyboard companies are sending him stuff because he's so good and at demonstrating what they do. So he will experiment with those new modern updates on keyboards and things. So that's what you're hearing on I know what you're talking about. His like solo part there. It's a synth.
Yeah, no, I'd see. If you guys played that song live, I could totally imagine him just sitting on stage with a theremin, just fucking around with it. It'd be killer. It'd be so fun.
Oh, we should implement that.
One last question, I guess I got about the record as a whole, right? I'm going to quickly just jump back to Return from the Ether, because the question sort of came off the back of that, but it's not related to the song. Obviously, with the kind of lack of vocals and stuff, like when you're writing the guitar parts, a lot of times when people sort of will listen to music and stuff like that, especially music with lyrics in it, they like to find something to sing along to. So when you're writing the guitar parts, do you sort of envision them when you're writing them as like a vocal melody to sort of fill that void?
Yeah, I think the guitar is the voice of the songs to a large degree. Yeah, and I try to make the melody like a very significant part of it through the guitar, so you can sort of catch on to certain melodies and motives and things that the guitar does for sure. Um, because that's all I got, you know, and that's
Oh
my
yeah.
instrument. So that's what I'm familiar with and comfortable with, and yeah, it's what I like to create with.
Nah, that's it. Well, yeah, listen, again, the record's insane. It's super fun. I got a couple of questions because I want to know, like, with obviously this chat happening a couple of months before the album comes out, like when's is there any plans for this to go on tour after the record drops? Like, is there anything you can kind of tease?
Yeah, so we're working on this at the moment, but we're trying to find the right time for it. Um, my like Rose living in Sweden at the moment, so that proves a slight hurdle to overcome. Um, yeah, so we're just trying to find the right time and the right setup for it, but we have been thinking about doing a show very close to release day as a bit of a celebration and a bit of a launch. I'd love to do it. I mean, doing shows, it requires a lot of focus and a lot of work to do. But shows are going to happen. That is a fact. So stay tuned for that. I just don't know when quite yet.
Nah, that's all good. I said this to you the other day when we were talking, like talking online, but I think the first time I saw you guys, actually not I don't think I know. The first time I saw you guys was Uncaged when you guys did that festival right after COVID, and like you guys were the best on day for me. And that was a day with 12 Foot Ninjas final shows and Killing Heidi, who I'd never seen before, Wolf Mother. There were so many crazy bands on that day, and you guys to me were just you guys blew me away with just how good you are live. So I'm really excited for shows again to see you guys once more. I'm really excited to see some of these tracks live. The only thing I kind of want to leave sort of the interview with is that what expectations do you want to throw there for people for what they can expect from this record?
From the record itself, I think it's going to be a very positive listen, a great listen, you know, for those activities that, you know, like exercising and like cleaning the house and long drives. I think it'll be a perfect accompaniment for that. It's very positive sounding, and I just hope it inspires people. And it's just a fun ride, you know. There's lots of twists and turns. The riffs are there, the shred is there, but the production is on another level. So feel feel uh, feel free to think that this is going to be the best album from me so far because I feel like it is. And you said you agree with me too, so
Yeah, I rate
I'll
it.
take that.
It's definitely top of the list, that's for sure. And yeah, it's an insane record. This you said up into the ether was the benchmark. The benchmark's been benchmarked.
Awesome, bro. Happy to hear that. Happy to hear that.
Hell yeah. Well, listen, I can't wait for the tours. Right now, the only thing I guess I'm waiting for now, I know you're planning, I'm not going to talk about it too much, but you've got the Sunk Loto thing going on as well. I'm hoping for news there
Yeah.
at some point because Sunk Loto, fucking one of my favorite bands as
Yeah.
well. But um, all I need is a Sunk Loto track this year. And I think this year, and I Built the Sky tour, and I think my 2026 is made. So thanks for having the chat with me. And yeah, I can't wait for everyone to get this record in their hands and in their ears.
Thank you, man. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm stoked to have a chat with you, man. Appreciate it.